Today, I want to do a quick little Lilium first impression review to see whether she's worth it for you guys. I pulled her and finished building her a couple hours ago and spent the next couple hours playing with her in various different content from PvE to PvP. I know I'm a bit late on this one because I was very busy yesterday, but in very short, this character is not going to be worth it if you are not like an endgame PvP connoisseur that you really know what you're doing and you can experiment with different kind of build on her. If you are a casual player who want to clear PvE and do a bit of PvP, then she is not going to be worth it in the short term for you, or maybe even in the long term, because I don't think she does anything special for any of the PvE that you can do in the game that is going to be better than investing in an SR damage dealer like Diting or any other damage dealer that you're using right now. She's not going to be like a direct upgrade to that. She's going to be a usable, serviceable damage dealer in all the PvE content, but I wouldn't say she's a must-have or very good in all the content like how you are using Yelly, for example. If you look at every content, then you're going to see Yelly in there. Yelly is one of the best PvE unit in the entire game, and she was the previous banner. But it doesn't mean that you cannot finish the PvE section of the game without Yelly. I don't have Yelly, by the way, and you can still beat most of the PvE or all of the PvE with the correct team. However, as a guy who doesn't play with Lily or Yelly, I still don't think that this is going to be a direct upgrade to whatever I'm doing in terms of PvE. Very much similar to Nahor. I thought he's going to do some work in PvE, but I don't exactly need him to do anything better in PvE. In terms of raw damage output, you can try all different kind of DPS build on your Lilium. For example, if I put this exact set on Lilium, and this thing is going to do way more damage. However, that is pretty obvious because my Lilium is on a very humble investment kind of value here with 115, which means she can hit harder with more attack stat in her skill 1, and she doesn't have any dupe, which means she doesn't have the extra stat and damage and crit damage in her stat. So maybe with a maxed out Lilium and max skill in every department, then she'll come close to Diting damage. But then 99% of the player base will not be able to do that. 99% of the player base will probably stop at 151 Lilium and 0 dupe, which means she'll never go close to the raw damage that this thing can do. However, this thing is one of the best one-shotter in this entire game in terms of damage output for PvE, so I don't think she was meant to do that in any shape or form. You might think that, Sean, why are you trying to defending XD? But I think that is just, it is what it is, right? She's not meant to be like a one-shot PvE damage dealer. Personally, I was really hoping that I can use her in Rango Inferno, because in this content, this thing is doing just fine, but the boss can push back turn meter and she is immune to that. So that is one extra thing that she has over Diting, and she can heal herself, which is going to allow her to survive a bit better compared to Diting, but I would not replace Diting with her in this content. I think Diting is still going to be the superior DPS, even though I might lose here and there because in a very unlucky run, Diting will get revenge with defense broke and just die. But that's fine to me, you know. She's not going to survive any better than Diting anyway, unless I put Bloodbath on her or Diting, but that's a different story. So in short, she's not going to join any of my PvE team. So the place where she's going to be good at, let's start off with Union PvP, which I think she's going to be a very decent character in. So in this content, a lot of defense team will be like 2 support and 1 DPS. If you can bring this girl in here and destroy the DPS pretty much immediately in the very first turn by boosting her turn meter with your Mio or Lily, and then she go in and she one-shot the DPS with her self-buffing mechanic, because I think she's still okay at killing 1 DPS. She's not very good at one-shotting like Holden, Rahu, or Tiamat or Bloodbath, but I think if you can outspeed, then she can one-shot the DPS, and after that, you can just hit auto, and she's gonna self-sustain with a skill 1, and then she can slowly kill the enemy team, despite how tanky the support can be, right? Because she will slowly seal the HP away with the skill 3. So after this, I hit auto, and after like maybe 2-3 minutes, I'm gonna beat the Ling Low finally, and I think she's going to be okay here. You can also say, Sean, you can do the same thing with, I don't know, a Diting. That is true, by the way. That is true. Let's say if I use a Diting here, I trying to get first turn, one-shot the enemy Messiah, then the same thing can happen as well, which is not wrong. But she can also do the job, which means she can be like another damage dealer for your United Front combat, and that's going to be a much safer damage dealer, because let's say their defense team is going to be turn 1 Obo or Kazuyo, then you can try to dodge the control and then you one-shot the enemy damage and then you hit auto after that. So I think for a 3v3 PvP setup, she's gonna be a pretty okay unit. And in Summoners War, the game I come from, guild PvP has an entirely different meta compared to the other PvP section of the game, and a lot of people only play the game for the guild PvP part of the game. But here, the United Front part is not exactly super serious, so I don't think the meta PvP for United Front is going to be like super important in a lot of player perspective, which means even if she's really good in here, potentially, it's not going to be important for most players, so you don't have to care too much about this part. And then when we go to the most important part of the game, it's going to be the AI arena. This is where you farm your currency to clear out the shop, to get upgrading material and all that stuff. Unfortunately, we have now evolved from the control first turn defense team. Most of the defense team are either going to be super heavy bruiser, or they're going to go first and one-shot you with Yelly. So there's not really a lot of control going on. Like, I mean, there's a cast over there, but I think the main threat is going to be Yelly, just absolutely one-shotting your entire team. And Yelly one-shot will go through even Valerian's cheat death. So right now the meta is not going to be CC in the defense team. It's more one-shot, it's more damage, or it's heavy bruiser. And she's not exactly doing very well in those departments. And if you're seeing a Holden, Holden can strip your attack buff, Holden can put attack break on you, and your Lilium damage will be instantly absolutely garbage. However, if you really want to, then you can use her as a single target damage dealer, and if you can control the team, let's say... Oh my, I did not sleep that Linglo. That's bad. That's good. Can I kill that? That did nothing. Because this is like a less damage shell. The more bruiser I build her, the less damage she do. On a 115, a realistic build, right? Oh, I can do it again. Wait, hold up. That's kind of fire. Oh. Wait, am I cooking? Wait, chat, am I cooking? Wait, chat, am I cooking? Wait, hold up. Oh, shit, I didn't kill that. I feel like I'm cooking. Heavy bonus on the feel part. Wait, I'm kind of cooking though. I mean, if I'm not fighting Doki Doki, right? Like, Doki Doki is a different story. Wait, I'm... Yo. I'm kind of cooking, I think. I mean, you need to have some sort of control so that she can do her thing, right? If you let them move, you're fucked. Pretty much. So you cannot let them move. You are cooking, but nobody on... No, I'm cooking, bro. Wait, I feel like I'm cooking, bro. Hold up. And then we go to like Summit Arena. And right now, the meta is very bruiser happy. We see a lot of Linglo, Tiamat, Rahu, Holden, Viper, Lilith, that kind of thing. And then when you go really high, people are trying to go CC to counter that. But usually, for the most part, you are seeing either super high damage comp with turn 1 booster into Yelly for damage or Messiah, or you are seeing a lot of bruiser comp, which is going to survive the kind of game style. And then mix in between, we have a bit of CC sprinkle in there. but it's not going to be a main CC meta right now compared to the previous season where there were more oboe, cast, and all that kind of stuff. So in theory, Yeli is going to be a very good character into the CC gameplay. So unfortunately, Yeli is just not very good into the bruiser comp because her damage output is not exactly super amazing. If you build her for raw damage, you might get one shot by a random revenge coming out from Holden or Tiamat, which is very, very bad. And if you build her with a bloodbath and a lot of silence, her damage is not going to be very good unless your gear is cracked out of your mind, right? So you either choose the big damage round or you might die to a random revenge, which is very meta nowadays to have like Rahul, Holden, Mizuki, Viper, Tiamat to randomly revenge you. It is very, very scary. So if you go full damage, you might just die immediately. And I've been trying her out, I gotta say. Losing is a common thing. I've been losing a whole lot with this character. But I've been having some fun with her as well. Unfortunately, she's just not very good into bruiser comp because it is really hard to make her one-shot something unless you manage to sneak in like a Deathbreaker. However, even if you do that, there will still be like Bloodbath, Amber, so many random shit in between to stop you from one-shotting their bruiser character. And the HP seal is good, but it doesn't happen often enough or is not meaningful enough to really be a deterrent for bruiser comp and RTA because most of the time she's going to be your main damage dealer. If you bring another one in, your damage dealer might die before you actually can do damage to the current bruiser meta team. So she can't really do big damage. She doesn't really have a way to protect herself against the bruiser damage unless you ping like a Valerian, you bring in healer of your own. But right now, not a lot of resources to build other healers like Linglo and Sani, and if they take that, you don't have healer for yourself. If in the future we can build more support character to support her kind of playstyle, then maybe she'll feel better to play with. So she can't really stun with the skill 2. Unfortunately, it's very rare to find a moment where you can kill something and stun the entire team, or you stun with the skill 2. It's just not going to happen that easily because bruiser are stacked with effect rares as well, and not a lot of your Lilium build out there is going to have effect accuracy. So overall, she doesn't do enough into bruiser comp and she die very easily if you don't know what you're doing. So she's only really, really good into control comp, which is the comp that I'm playing. For example, I'm running Oboe and Kazuya and Doki Doki. I'm trying to control them as long as possible. She's very good into this comp. So by the fact that I'm drafting her, I'm taking one of the counter play to the control comp, which is actually a decent way to play with her in the current meta. However, the match still lasts very long because the bruiser is so strong nowadays. It takes a while to kill them. It takes a while for this character to kill them as well. So right now, I think the best way to use her is not with the thing I'm using, right? I'm using control comp and the damage coming out from her is not exactly amazing. The best way to use her is to use her with the bruiser comp. So for example, you're seeing No Hay right there, right? He's using Sania, Linglo, Lilith. And the counter to the bruiser comp is going to be the control team with debuff and turn meter pushback. So if you put her in there, she gets support by both healers and she can counter the CC comp very, very well. And I think that is where she's really strong. And if I want to play with her effectively, I have to rebuild my entire account to accommodate the bruiser playstyle, which is not going to be very simple because I've really been enjoying the turn 1 debuff kind of play, which is very fun, which I'm going to continue to do so. I like to play the game for my fun instead of chasing the never-ending meta. So I'm just going to play debuff until I get really, really sick of it. And if I want to pivot into Linglo, into Holden, into Fucho, into just bruiser playstyle, I gotta like switch my mindset entirely and I gotta switch my build on everything entirely. The build for her can be like super varied from player to player. We can have like crazy damage build on count, on a lot of silence. We can have like gigabyte. We can have like just the most random shit on her. She can be built on full damage or on bloodbath or on whatever you really want. I don't know, but right now she's just not really worth it for the majority of the player base, in my opinion. A low damage and not very friendly towards casual player who need to progress in PvE and do a little bit of PvP. So it is almost impossible to recommend this character, seeing how expensive she is as well. And I don't think as a casual player or a normal player, you should be investing in her, and maybe just invest into the bruiser meta. That's probably gonna bring you further than investing into this new LD SSR. Maybe in the future, she'll be really good. You never really know, right? Maybe in the future, she's going to be really good. But right now, not really. Just not really. And anyway, I'm going to end the video by summoning one random ticket from the Ember Track normal I got earlier. Maybe we don't get anything. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you feel about this character, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.